Okay, let me throw a few names at you. Stevie Wonder, Billy Joel, Hans Zimmer, Pharrell Williams. It turns out that all of these artists, all from different eras and genres, have something extremely unusual in common. For them, music is not just sound, it's color, texture, and even entire worlds. Stevie Wonder went from being an 11-year-old Motown prodigy to a one-man musical revolution, basically reshaping soul and pop and funk and R&B. And he's described hearing melodies in vivid hues. Imagine this, despite being blind, he perceives the colors of his music internally, and that contributes to the richness and expansiveness of his sound. And Hans Zimmer went from being this synth-obsessed kid in Frankfurt to the architect of modern blockbuster sound. He fused electronic textures with thunderous orchestras to create scores that feel like entire worlds breathing. And he hears colors when he's creating scores, using hues to guide emotional tone and cinematic tension. Pharrell Williams went from being a kid tinkering with beats to the sonic architect behind entire eras of pop and hip-hop and R&B. He talks about beats like bursts of brightness. And then there's Billy Joel. Everyone knows Billy Joel, right? He's one of America's most enduring songwriters, always filling stadiums with music that defines eras of pop and rock. He's described slower, softer melodies like blues and greens, while vivid rhythmic patterns appear more like reds and golds. Weird, right? I mean, can these guys really see music in colors and images? Now, I know someone that's colorblind, and one time he told me that he assumed all people saw things the same way that he did, only to find out at one point that his experience was actually a bit unusual. And for me, this was the same experience with seeing textural scenes when I hear music. I always assumed that everyone saw music and not just hearing it, and it turns out that's not the case. For me, any part of music, like a melody or a chord or even a single sound, it's often going to spark a complete textural scene in my mind. It could be a landscape or a room or a moment in time. That image creates a deep connection to the music for me. And so when I write music, I'm not just building a song. Really, I'm kind of building a scene. And each new musical idea adds another detail to that scene, almost like I'm scoring a movie that only I can see. This is where I want to share about one of my musical heroes, which is Devin Townsend. Don't worry, I'm going to tie this all together for you. Now, Devin is known for these insanely powerful and dynamic vocals. And he's also a very skilled guitarist and songwriter and a really amazing producer. And with somewhere around like 25 or 30 albums out at this point, this guy is also prolific. Devin, if you're listening to me, by the way, let's do an interview sometime. Now, why I'm bringing Devin into this conversation has to do with one of his podcasts from a couple years back, where he described the way that he sees colors and shapes and even numbers in music. And then I realized that most people actually don't have this kind of thing happen. It turns out that maybe only a couple % of people have this condition, and technically it's called synesthesia.
Actually, a little shocked to recognize that the way that I perceived music seemed so foreign to other people. I was told many years back that the way that I perceive music is through something called synesthesia.
Devin's talked openly about synesthesia in various interviews that I've heard since then, saying that for him, notes aren't just sounds, and he's described entire albums as color journeys shifting from dark purples to turquoise hues. It's just amazing, really. And when I first heard him explain about synesthesia, I instantly related. I actually felt excited to know that I was experiencing music in what seems like a very unique way. And for me, it's more like images and scenes and not usually colors, but I have experienced colors on a couple of rare occasions. Now, a rhythm or a melody or even a single chord sparks an image, and hearing Devin describe his process gave me language for something that I had always felt.
Synesthesia, to my understanding, describes is a kind of cross-collateralization of emotional information. So, for example, you might hear people that say, this sounds like red to me. This color has a very triangular feel to me. This food is pointy.
Okay, I'm going to get nerdy for a moment. Once I discovered such a thing as synesthesia, I started exploring it, reading articles about it, searching for it online. I can explain it from a student's point of view, and I'm just someone who's fascinated by how music and the brain connect. So here's what's happening. Synesthesia is basically when two of your senses kind of get blended. Technically, chromesthesia is a special kind of synesthesia where sounds, like music or voices, automatically make you see colors or shapes or patterns in your mind. And I think this actually describes what Devin Townsend experiences. Most people hear music with their ears and see colors with their eyes, but for somebody with chromesthesia, hearing a sound can also make their brain light up the part that sees colors or pictures. Think of it like this. It's like your brain has compartments for every sense, like one for sound and one for sight and one for touch. In synesthesia, the doors between those compartments are wide open, so when the music comes in, it jumps into the sight compartment too. And that's why some musicians say that they see music and not just hear it. Since I'm already nerding out, let me get a little technical just for a quick moment. Scientifically speaking, and to be certain, I'm not a scientist, but synesthesia is when one stimulation of one sense automatically triggers another. In auditory forms, hearing music activates not just the auditory cortex, but it also co-activates visual areas like the color center of the brain or spatial imagery networks in the parietal lobe. And there are two main theories about why this happens. One is cross-activation, where extra wiring or stronger connections link these areas, so sound signals spill into visual regions. And the other is disinhibited feedback, where the brain filters that normally keep senses separate are kind of weaker, and then signals cross over. All right, no more nerding out. All of this is why Devin experiences music as colors, and maybe why I often experience it like textural scenes. The same sound consistently triggers the same image, and it's automatic, not imagination or like on demand. And honestly, that's part of the fun. I get to explore the science while also reflecting on my own experiences. Devin Townsend talks about notes as colors and shapes, and for me, it's scenes and landscapes. And it's not all music, just some songs for me. And the science gives us a framework to understand why. It's the brain's sensory systems crossing over, but I'm still learning and I want to bring you along with me. But there's one other phenomenon that some people can get while listening to music, which is goosebumps. And that usually happens at a climactic moment of a song or a particularly emotional moment. Sudden involuntary chills like shivers or goosebumps can get triggered by emotionally powerful music. Most of the time, goosebumps are caused by a dopamine release, emotional processing, and your sympathetic nervous system activating. And that is not the same thing as synesthesia, but equally cool, I must say. Now, you might be thinking, I don't experience any of this stuff. And that's okay. You experience music as uniquely as anyone else. Synesthesia is rare, but music connects with all of us in powerful ways. So maybe you've had a song that feels warm, or that a piece of music feels like a storm or a memory. That's just your brain making sensory connections too. So even if you don't literally see colors or scenes, you can still imagine what it's like. Synesthesia is just one extreme example of something that we all share. Music's ability to move us beyond sound. When I first heard Devin Townsend talk about his synesthesia, I felt an instant connection. It made me realize I wasn't alone in experiencing music visually. If you've ever seen music in colors yourself, or even shapes or scenes, you're part of a unique community. And I want you to leave a comment if you've ever experienced this, because I actually would love to hear your story. And there are online groups too, like in Reddit and Facebook, and dedicated networks where people with synesthesia can share their experiences. I'd love for you to chime in, because the more that we share, the more connected we're going to feel. It's not just a curiosity. For some artists, maybe it's kind of like a creative gift. I'm Kevin, the founder of Innovaniac Music. We help independent artists grow, get heard, and build genuine connections with listeners. Until the next time, dream big and create bold.